Hey everybody, welcome back to the fish tank. Now you might notice I'm a little less excitable than usual. We need to talk about Minion Masters 2.0. If you've been following the journey, you'll know that on the 12th of December, Minion Masters 2.0 launched. But unfortunately, it's been rough. The state of the game at launch is, I think it's been very surprising to everybody, including myself. And if you know my history, I've been a long time Minion Masters / Beta Dwarf partner. I'm very involved when it comes to Minion Masters. I'm always positive, I'm always looking to the future, I'm always giving Beta Dwarf the benefit of the doubt, but even I am surprised at just, unfortunately, how bad things are currently. So today we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're going to start off with the bad, have a brief look at the ugly, and then we're going to talk about the good. Now, we all know that this is a prologue, an early access of beta, and boy, does it feel like that. One thing I must say is, although I've seen a lot of feedback on the Steam forums, on Reddit, on the Discord, and despite most of it being negative, not all of it, but most of it, I will say that it gives me hope that it just goes to it shows to me how passionate the community is about this game. You know, if they didn't really care about this game, if it was broken, things didn't work, then they wouldn't really go through the time and the effort to share their frustrations. Of course, there's all sorts of different feedback. Some are really good, really specific, granular. They specifically say things they do and don't like, and that's really helpful for the devs. And of course, on the other side of the coin, we just have idiots just typing rubbish 1,000 times. Unfortunately, whilst all feedback is valuable, that feedback is not particularly valuable. So I encourage you to, if you are giving your feedback, try to be as constructive as possible, respectful and constructive. It's okay to say you don't like things. That's fine. But just do it in a respectful way. Remember, you can get in touch with the devs on Discord. I'll put a link in the chat to that, as well as the feedback form that the devs have got running. Okay, so why have things been so bad? I mean, we expected that there was going to be some bugs, but it sounds like most of the Xbox players have been unable to basically get into the game at all. And imagine waiting years for an update and then being unable to get into the game at all. So that's been very frustrating. Of course, there's a huge change in the UI, and that has really divided people. Some people like it, some people hate it. I find it difficult to react in the same way to the UI because, you know, this has been a project that's been going for a long time. We've had the original Minion Masters remastered, which was years ago. That project, of course, as we know, didn't finish, but that's where this new UI design came from. So with regards to that, as well as all the betas and the testing, I've seen this UI for a long time. So whilst I may have had similar reactions to it, that would have been a long time ago. So I'm kind of used to this new UI. I don't hate it at all. And from my point of view, the UI, of course, is important, especially when we talk about the in-game UI. But to me, the crucial part of the whole thing is the gameplay. You know, Minion Masters has and has always had awesome gameplay, and it's crucial, as I said to myself, that the gameplay at least remains the same, if not gets better. And unfortunately, we're not at that stage. There's been so many problems with regards to cards not working correctly, cards being really old balance versions, and just graphically, a lot of people hate how it looks graphically. I've not shared this, but a lot of people feel that it's very difficult to look at for a extended or not even that extended period of time. I will agree that the graphics are very busy. There's a lot going on, and that definitely makes it difficult, even for us experienced players, it makes it difficult to see what's going on with the underlying minion-to-minion interaction, and that's something that hopefully the devs can improve. But there's some weird things like the frozen being so bright. It's like, how do these things get past the Q&A, the quality assurance? And I think that's really that's where we're at. How did the game launch in this state? I mean, the devs either knew it was going to launch and it was going to be awful, and then they were going to have to fix it, or they weren't aware. And I'm not sure which of those is worse. And I do encourage them to really tighten up their quality assurance pipelines to get things tested more, and hopefully things that when we get to live won't be as bad. Okay, so it has been a rough experience. I would say personally, I haven't had that bad an experience. I don't think I've had any crashes. I've been able to get into the game, but a lot of people have had very, very bad experiences, especially on Xbox. And that's very frustrating because this has really been billed as one of the main underlying cause of this project is a rewrite for it to be more efficient. And that means it's going to run better on older Xboxes, stuff like that, which I think eventually it will. We just need to get over these initial hurdles. Okay, now it's been rough. Fortunately, I've got my emotional support mana puff with me, and we'll get through this together. So, we can't go through all of the specific bugs right now. There's so many, but what I will say, it's been really good to see how many of you have reported these bugs in a constructive way on the Discord, on Steam, on Reddit, through their reports in-game, as well as their survey. So that's been really good. People have been helping. This is I think, this is a situation where the community needs to rally with the devs together, or it's just not going to work out. And I know that I'm going to be here and I'm going to support it in the best way that I can, and hopefully you guys will come along. But I do understand everybody's frustration at this point. And I definitely share it because, we've been years in the making for this, and it's kind of been a nightmare so far. So, there's a lot of bad. What about the ugly? Well, for some reason, and this is another thing, like how does this get past the quality testing? For some reason, the game defaults to the worst possible graphic settings on Xbox. And I don't even know if you can change that on the console. So the game currently, as I understand it, looks awful on Xbox. So we're in a really awful situation where we've kind of got a double whammy. We've got huge amounts of change, which generally people are pretty resistant to. And then we've got loads of bugs and broken stuff. And that together just makes it really, really difficult for the community. Very frustrating for all of us involved. Okay, so that's the bad and the ugly. But what is the good? Well, I think this is a starting point, and we can only go up from here. And one thing I have been very impressed with when it comes to the developers, Beta Dwarf, and the team there, is they have been, and this is something that they haven't necessarily been before, they have been super, super, super active on the Minion Masters Discord. We've seen so many devs online that I don't think we've ever seen before. So many of them interacting directly with the community, specifically with certain problems that people are having. They've also done a really good job with regards to keeping us updated on the things that are going to happen. Keeping us up to date on the bugs that people are aware of, that we're aware of, that have been reported, as well as things that are going to be fixed and things that are going to be fixed in the future. So I think that's positive. If this was a situation where the game had been launched, it was terrible, and then the devs were just like radio silent on the Discord, that would have just been game over, I think. But fortunately, that's not the case. The devs seem to be on the case. They're taking everybody's feedback on board. Everybody's concerns are fair and valid. And they are working quickly to get these things fixed as much as possible. Because my hope is that we can get to a stage where the game is playable for everybody on all platforms. I know Xbox players really frustrated. And then once 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 it's playable, once the kind of the game breaking bugs are ironed out, then we can actually get onto looking at the state of the game, talking about how it can be improved going forward. How is the gameplay? Because to me, the gameplay looks like Minion Masters, kind of. Feels like Minion Masters, kind of. But it isn't quite there. And as I said on stream, it's kind of like an uncanny valley where it's really close to what we know and love, but it's not quite there. And it's kind of difficult to put your finger on why. I know a lot of people have reported, and this is something I felt myself, where the game didn't feel quite as responsive as before with regards to cycling through cards, placing units, playing spells. And as we'll see in a minute, that's one thing that they're currently working on. Also, just the visual noise just seems overwhelming. Again, as someone that's got so much experience in this game, I'm kind of able to look through that a little bit, but for newer players, for players with lesser experience, and even experienced players, it's just overwhelming just how much is going on. Like, it's important to have, you know, a good-looking game, but I don't think it should be kind of over-flashy, unnecessarily flashy, just to detract from the underlying gameplay. Okay, so the devs are on the case. So what I would encourage everyone to do is to join the Minion Masters Discord. This is what kind of the hub of where the discussion is going on. Obviously, you can give your feedback in other places as well, but this is a way that you can interact directly with the devs. So we see a lot of people reporting a problem. We see a lot of the devs getting involved, asking for more information, trying to lock this down. Because a lot of the issues they've had, I think that a lot of the issues they've been surprised about, which is a little bit concerning. Especially with regards to the Xboxes. It seems, from their point of view, a lot of the problems that players are experiencing were not replicable by the devs on their own hardware or their development hardware, which obviously that makes it super difficult for the developers to iron those issues out. But it makes it really important, and I'm sure the devs are super appreciative of the community giving their feedback and also being able to discuss directly with the people having the issues what's going on. And I think a lot of the issues were down to something to do with the friends list in the game, and it seems like the developers didn't have active friends lists on the dev test equipment, so that they didn't have this issue. But when it went live and everyone had this friends list and there was a problem with it, that's when all the issues started arising. So there's been some frustrations from the developers because they haven't been able to replicate these issues, but with the community's help, we've got to the bottom of it, and then that, of course, allows us to, or the devs to start working towards a fix. Now, yeah, so join the Discord, get involved in the discussion. You can see things that have been reported already, because, you know, it's useful people reporting things, but it's super useful if you're the first person to find something and report it. If you're the 50th person to say, oh, this is broken, you know, your feedback is valid, but it's kind of just adding to the noise. So we can see the current sort of list of problems, and we can add to that, and the devs can tell us what's going on. So the game launched on December the 12th. So we had a hotfix, the first hotfix, which was the day after. So one thing I'm impressed about is how quickly the devs are reacting to these issues. Because, you know, a lot of these critical issues where people literally cannot play the game, they need to be prioritized and fixed ASAP. So this is the Minion Masters Discord under the announcements channel. So this is the fix that went live on the 13th. So that was the day after. So the shop will be re-enabled. So the shop being disabled on launch seems kind of insane. Do they want to make money? But anyway, a frame rate cap. The claim all button was added for the power tokens. So that's something I was able to try out. There is... Actually, did this hotfix might have gone live on the Tuesday. It might have actually been on the same launch day. I think it was. So they did react very quickly to making some fixes. Of course, you know, it's difficult to react quickly because you've got to find the fix, you've got to figure out the solution, but then, of course, also you've got to test the solution. There's no point rushing these things and it being a half-assed thing. And when it comes to Xbox, it's way more difficult, way slower to just to quickly put out these updates, these hotfixes, compared to Steam. And a lot of the issues were related to Xbox, which is a little bit frustrating. So a few things that were fixed here on the day of release. So the claim all for power tokens was added. That was kind of a strange one because that was in the beta, it was functional, then it launched without it, and then it was added back in. There's also been a further fix to that where it seemed like it wasn't giving you correctly random rewards, but we'll have a look at that at a moment. So a few things here, multiple server issues, those are kind of the most important things that were fixed on day of release. Okay, we won't go through all of this, but they've this is basically a list of things they fixed on release, a list of things that they were going to fix in the upcoming days, and we'll have a look at that shortly. Because remember, the way it launched, the official release date was the 12th. We went down for maintenance on the 11th, but then fairly quickly the servers came back online, but they were online for only a limited number of people. So of course that made everyone think, well, why can't I get in? That was kind of a little bit awkward. Right. So, and as they mentioned here, we'll release our first, well, it's kind of the second hotfix. I was kind of confused talking to them. I think it is officially the second hotfix, which is going to be on Friday. So, it's Friday today. Okay. So this was a post yesterday, so basically just reiterating that they're listening to everything, they're committed to fixing it all. And they've also put here, everyone's going to get, or everyone who logged in or tried to log in between December the 11th and the 14th, 500 rubies. So if you tried to log in, whether you were able to get in or not, you will get some rubies as compensation. You won't get them yet. I'm not exactly sure when you'll get them, but you will get them. Right, working on fixes. And then they say here, in the spirit of transparency, we can already tell you that a comprehensive prologue roadmap is in the works and will be unveiled in the coming weeks. This roadmap will provide insights into our top priorities for the upcoming months, outlining the changes and improvements we plan to implement. Always good to see a roadmap. Always good to get an idea of what things are on the plan to fix and which things are most highly prioritized. We are players too, and we recognise the frustration and disappointment. But they have said here that it's a big technical update to the game code, which allows more freedom and flexibility in the future. And they ask for your patience. I'm going to be patient, and I know it's frustrating, but hopefully you guys can be patient too. Because I do feel like if we can ride this out and start building on it, then we can get to a good place going forward. It's just right now it's very, very rough. They express their gratitude for the patience, understanding, and continued support. So it seems like they are as frustrated as we are. Not in the same way. Well, some of the same frustrations, but differently. But hopefully their frustration will drive them to make a product that's even better. Right, so we have, this brings us to today with Hotfix 2.0. So remember, the game only launched on Tuesday. It's Friday now. We're on our second hotfix. So that makes me feel positive that they are keen to fix things and keen to fix things in a very quick and efficient manner. So today, I'm not sure when this video is going to go out, but the servers are going to go down. And they'll be down until 1 PM. That's PC servers. These are UTC times, probably. And the Xbox servers will go down and be down to approximately 6 PM. I'm interested to know... I feel like... I'm not sure the difference between the servers there, because I feel like everybody supports the same servers. But who knows what goes on behind the scenes. Right. What is going to be in this hotfix? So they fixed an issue of the claim all function giving several versions of the same token. Mayhem mode is currently unstable. We're disabling it for the time being. It will come back as soon as possible. Okay, that's fair enough. If it's broken, and broken enough to just be a complete negative, just disable it, fix it, get it back, right? We've got some card fixes here. Runeshaper's Frost Shield fixed an issue that could give you an excessive amount of shield. Many spells now properly hit what they highlight. Mordor fixed an issue where his tombstone would raise full HP minions. It says here with full health visuals, health bar not updating, so they might not have been full HP minions, they might have just looked like it. Korgoth, you only require 2 seals instead of 3. Wrecked, remove the attack speed bonus. See, these things are things of old balance patches that have somehow seemingly crept back in. Same with tantrum throwers. It seems like they were spawning vertically, so you could take both bridges with them, which is how they used to be, but for a good few patches now, they were spawned horizontally, so you could only take one bridge with them. Future past and future present, fix an issue with cause the card to only work for one card, fix an issue where a unit would stop moving unexpectedly. But they put here there might be more, please contact us with a replay. That's a really good point. If you have a problem and it is something that could be shown in a replay, it's super helpful for the devs if you can show the replay, because that means they can just see exactly what's happening, exactly what happened to cause it, and to hopefully see what the fix is. If you're looking for the replays, for some reason they're under settings, but that's where they are. They exist. You can find them. Right, gameplay. Adding a setting that disables double clicking of QWER to play a card. Hallelujah. I always disable that. This was one of the first things I fed back to them probably 3 years ago or something. But we got there now. Visual effects on summoning minions improved to be snappier. Cards are replaced in your hand faster. So we mentioned earlier about how the gameplay felt a little slow. And these are things designed to address that. Dev notes here, these have been improved to make it snappier to play minions. We got on reports that playing minions feels slower in 1.0, which should absolutely not be the case. One thing to say is, I've seen other people who have been spreading the misinformation that the mana is faster in the new version of the game. And from my testing, comparing the new version and the old version, that is completely untrue. The mana rate is exactly the same, and the devs have not knowingly to them made any changes to that. So if the game feels faster, then there's something else at play, but that is definitely not the case. Right, menus. Fixed a noticeable lag when leaving the deck collection menu. That's something that we definitely experienced. Issue when opening a power token, navigation bar doesn't register the first click is fixed. Okay. Right. And then we've got some visual updates. These are only going to be for PC only, because they say they've got some memory issues on the Xbox that they need to resolve first before they make any further issues. So some VFX being toned down, contrast being improved, health bars made bigger on higher resolution monitors, desaturated the blue fog in the starting arena. So a lot of people were unhappy with the way that the game looked. So hopefully this is a step and a first step towards getting back to, at least as a minimum, what we had before. You know, as I said about the gameplay, for me, the minimum is same gameplay experience as before. If they can build on it, if they can make it better, great, but the gameplay experience should not degrade in any way. Removed an old audio file with used some unfortunate language. That's insane. I'm not going to say the word that was in there, but that's insane that got through. I'm sure the devs are mortified that it did, and I'm sure they are very apologetic to people that were offended by it, but that's been resolved. Xbox fixed a whole bunch of crash issues. They've increased the max amount of resources a player can own, fixed an issue where screen shake was not being respected as when you were turning it off. Right, and then we have things that are coming in the next hotfix. So whilst they're releasing things to be fixed here, they're also working on things that are going to be fixed in the next hotfix. We don't know when that's going to be. So set default visuals to be higher on the Xbox. As mentioned, Xbox players, if they are able to get in the game, apparently, I don't know if it's all of them, but a lot of them, the game just looks awful, and that's because for some reason it defaults to the minimum graphical settings, and you know that's why it does look awful. Right, But that's not been fixed yet because, as mentioned before, they are investigating these memory issues, and they fixed some Chinese and Japanese fonts to be more readable. Right. We got through it. How do we TLDR this? Minion Masters 2 launched. It was very disappointing for a lot of people. But the devs are aware of this. They share your frustration. They're working hard on improving this. So I know personally, I'm in a very different position when it comes to Minion Masters than just you guys as just an average player. Average, not as an ability wise, but I mean just as a player, whereas I'm a content creator, I'm a partner. This ultimately affects me more than it does you. But from my point of view, I'm a player also, and it's really important to me that I enjoy the game. And I don't share games with people that I don't enjoy. I don't stream games that I don't enjoy. So this, for me, the most important issue is that I enjoy this game. And I hopefully, I'm not saying I don't enjoy it currently, but I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. So hopefully we can get back to enjoying it together. Now, one of the best parts of Minion Masters is the community. And I really do hope the community can rally around, can be patient whilst their frustrations are being heard and being fixed. But I know we are all disappointed. We knew it was going to be rough, but we didn't know it was going to be this rough. But hopefully we can weather this storm, and we'll look back on this, and we'll be in a much better position in the future. And this will just be a blip in the Minion Masters history. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go through. I would love it if you let me know in the comments here on the video, how are you feeling about it? And as mentioned before, constructive criticism is great. And whilst mentioning things on my video is not a direct way to talk to the devs, if you do put things here that are important and I feel like the devs need to be aware of, I always pass them on. But please don't use this as your primary form of feedback to the devs. As mentioned, I'll put links in the description for the feedback form for the Discord, and I can't encourage you enough to join the Discord, be part of the community, and be part of this process, because ultimately a lot of these things could have been fixed if the devs were able to test more, but they just don't have the resources to do that wide scale testing. So it's frustrating that we have to be the testers, but ultimately that's part of it being a beta, part of it being a prologue, and I don't think there's really any other way of doing it. They could do in-house testing and it could just delay the project forever. So it might have just been a case that they knew it was going to kind of be rough, but that it had to be done. This was kind of a band-aid that had to be pulled off. It had to be released. We had to go through this frustrating period, but the amount of feedback that devs have got in the last few days compared to what they could have discovered themselves in-house is phenomenal, and I'm sure they are super appreciative that they've gone through the time to test things, and they've had the wherewithal to join the Discord to feedback the issues, and all feedback is useful, and this is a project that we need to do together. I think let's play our part, and I know it's very frustrating when there's problems when you can't get onto the game. That's when it's super frustrating, because you might want to get involved, you might want to give your feedback, you can't even do that. But hopefully each time one of these fixes comes out, a lot more people will be able to get involved in the game. So fingers crossed. Things are rough, but together we can get through it. I'm choosing to be positive. Hopefully you guys can be too. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up, and if you're new to the fish tank, make sure you also drop a subscribe. We'd love to have you here as we go through. Hopefully, I know today's video has been a little bit negative overall, but hopefully as we go through, each of these updates will allow us to be more and more positive. More and more things get fixed, more and more things get polished, and we can get back to just enjoying the game. Now, we've got some tournaments coming up. The big issue with regards to that is the game in a state? Is it tournament ready? Currently unsure, so keep an eye out on notifications and stuff for when we make a decision about that. But of course it needs to be appropriately okay. We've got the stability issues that can be a huge concern. We've also got, you know, cards not working properly. Do they need to be banned? Stuff like that. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. I'm Bad as a Fish, and as always, I'm awkwardly waving.